where we've ended up with the final composition for the piece, minus the figures obviously. So let's see how we got here. First thing I did was rebuild the tarp support form, and I wanted the sphere to sit quite a bit deeper than that first version I had made. The next thing I did was take the 4 long support poles and just break them up through sanding and scraping, just so they weren't so regular and so rigid looking. So I've also decided that I want the figures to have the same kind of spherical head as the large sphere that's sitting in the hammock. So this figure here is just an experiment. Again, it's just a surrogate, just to see if that the relationship between the head and the body is kind of the right size. Not real happy with just the way it's sitting there. So even at this tiny scale, gesture is important, like how it seems that head is sitting on the body is important. So that's not going to be one of the figures I use, but I do like the fact that whatever figures are in the piece will have the same kind of spherical head shape. These are the 2 figures that I'm going to use for the piece. I have decided on 2. I just like the pose that these 2 are in. I think they can face each other in some sort of conversation or relationship. I do really like how the negative space of their elbows mirror each other, and I think they'll look good with the giant spherical heads as well. And this is roughly what I'm thinking for spacing between them, and really just having them just standing apart. Again, in some sort of relationship, some sort of conversation. Doesn't really matter what the specifics of that conversation is. Maybe it's none of our business. But just in terms of the just that relationship between the 2 of them, this is about how they will stand apart from each other. So the last major element to build was the landform. It's a little bit bulkier than it will be in its final version, but I know I'll have to do some carving and cutting as I place the support rods in. And you can see a pretty obvious platform where this guy's standing. There'll be lots of room for the 2 figures to face each other across there. Overall, pretty happy. Let me just move this. Pretty happy with the scale comparison and the fact that those 2 figures will be kind of underneath the cover of the kind of hammock form. So I've carefully wrestled everything into position. I am happier with the sphere sitting lower in its cradle, like the just small space between the landform and the bottom of the sphere. It's starting to collapse as I turn it around. I have put a first layer of ground cover on just because it'll be easier. You can see where I had to carve out some of the form to accommodate the uprights. So now I'll glue everything into place and we'll start painting.